Imagine living on less than $1.90 a day. That's the harsh reality for nearly 10% of the world's population. It's a shocking statistic, isn't it? Yet it's the unseen reality of life for an astounding number of individuals across the globe. The concept of poverty is not new, but the vastness of its reach may surprise you. It's a reality that extends beyond borders, cultures, and societies. In the grand tapestry of humanity, there's a stark contrast between the haves and the have-nots. A small fraction of the world's population controls a staggering amount of the planet's wealth, while a significant portion struggles to meet even the most basic needs. This disparity, this chasm between the rich and the poor, is not just a social issue, but a global crisis. It's a crisis that affects every aspect of life, from health to education, from opportunities to dreams. It's a crisis that's not only about money, but also about access, power, and opportunities. It's a crisis that's not just about the present, but also about the future. The fact that nearly 1 in every 10 people on this planet lives in extreme poverty is a reflection of the world we live in. It's a reflection of the system we've built and the values we uphold. Yet, the reality of poverty is often unseen, hidden behind the glamour and glitz of the modern world. It's a reality that many of us are fortunate enough to not experience firsthand, and therefore it's easy to overlook or ignore. But we can't afford to ignore it any longer. We can't afford to let this unseen reality continue to exist unchecked. Because every person living in poverty is a person denied the basic human rights to live a dignified and fulfilling life. This is the unseen reality of our world, a reality that we need to understand and address. Only by acknowledging this issue can we begin to make a change. Can we start to bridge the gap between the haves and the have-nots? Can we start to create a world where no one has to live on less than $1.90 a day? Poverty is not just about the lack of money. It's a complex issue rooted in various causes. Let's dive in a bit deeper to understand this complexity. Poverty, my friends, is a multifaceted beast. It's not just about the amount of cash in your pocket or your bank balance. It's about the economic, social, and political aspects of life that intertwine and form the many faces of poverty. Imagine a world where wealth isn't simply measured by income, but also by access to services like education, healthcare, and even the internet. This is the world we live in. For many, poverty means not only having less money, but also having fewer opportunities to improve their circumstances. Think about it. Without proper education, how can one secure a good job? Without access to healthcare, how can one maintain good health to work and earn? And in this digital age, without internet access, how can one tap into the wealth of information and opportunities that the World Wide Web offers? But poverty doesn't stop there. It also has a social dimension. It can mean exclusion from social circles, diminished participation in community life, and a lack of social recognition. This can lead to feelings of powerlessness, humiliation, fear, and even despair. And let's not forget the political aspects. Those living in poverty often have little say in the decisions that directly affect their lives. They may face discrimination, be denied their rights, or be overlooked by those in power. This is the reality of poverty. It's not just a lack of money, it's a lack of access to services, opportunities, social recognition, and political voice. It's a deprivation of basic human rights and dignity. But there's hope. By understanding the multifaceted nature of poverty, we can begin to see the root causes, the underlying issues that need to be addressed. And with this understanding, we can start to create sustainable solutions that go beyond just handing out money. Understanding these causes is the first step to creating sustainable solutions. Let's dive into the economic factors first. Unemployment, low wages, and lack of resources can trap individuals and communities in poverty. Picture a world where millions of people, despite their best efforts, find themselves unemployed. The harsh reality is, even in some of the world's wealthiest nations, there are not enough jobs to go around. And when jobs are scarce, people can't earn, spend, or save money. This lack of employment opportunities pushes many into the abyss of poverty. Now let's consider those who are employed but still struggle to make ends meet. Low wages are a harsh reality for many workers around the globe. Imagine working tirelessly, day in and day out, only to earn a pittance that barely covers your basic needs. This is the plight of those earning low wages. They work hard, yet they remain trapped in poverty, unable to afford life's necessities, let alone its luxuries. And then there's the issue of resources, or rather, the lack thereof. We're not just talking about financial resources here. We're talking about access to quality education, healthcare, and even clean water. These are fundamental human rights, yet many people around the world are deprived of them. Without access to these essential resources, individuals and communities are held back. They are unable to rise above their circumstances and break free from the chains of poverty. But the impact of these economic factors doesn't stop there. They also affect the next generation. Children born into these conditions often grow up with limited opportunities, perpetuating the cycle of poverty. When we put it all together, it paints a grim picture, doesn't it? Unemployment, low wages, and lack of resources. These are more than just economic factors. They are chains that bind people in a cycle of poverty. These economic challenges create a cycle of poverty that can be difficult to break. But remember, understanding these factors is the first step towards finding solutions. So stick with us as we delve deeper into the causes of poverty in the next scenes. Scene script: social factors also play a significant role. Discrimination, lack of education, and poor health are all barriers to escaping poverty. Let's delve into these, shall we? Discrimination, in its many forms, is a potent force that drives poverty. Whether it's based on race, gender, religion, or sexual orientation, discrimination can limit opportunities and access to resources. It's like a locked door, barring individuals from stepping into a room filled with potential. The classic analogy of a ladder comes to mind here. While some are able to climb up freely, others face rungs that are broken or missing altogether due to discrimination. This stifles their ability to move upward, leaving them stuck in a cycle of poverty. Next, we turn our attention to education, or rather, the lack thereof. Education is a powerful tool, equipping individuals with the skills and knowledge to secure better job opportunities and make informed decisions. However, in many parts of the world, access to quality education remains elusive. Some face barriers like high costs, long distances to schools, or cultural beliefs that devalue education. Others grapple with learning in overcrowded classrooms or schools lacking basic facilities. Without a solid educational foundation, the path out of poverty becomes a steep, uphill climb. Finally, let's talk about health. Poor health is both a cause and consequence of poverty. When individuals are in poor health, they may not be able to work or may have to spend a significant portion of their income on medical care. At the same time, those living in poverty often lack access to quality healthcare and live in conditions that can exacerbate health issues. It's a catch-22 situation where poor health feeds into poverty, and poverty in turn leads to poor health. These social factors intertwine and compound, creating a complex web that entraps individuals in poverty. They're not just facing one barrier, but multiple ones that intersect and amplify each other. These social barriers limit the opportunities available to those living in poverty. But understanding them is the first step towards dismantling them and creating a world where everyone has a fair shot at prosperity. A scene script. Lastly, political factors can contribute to poverty. Corruption, poor governance, and conflict can all perpetuate poverty. Let's delve into these factors. Imagine a scenario where a government official, instead of using funds for public good, pockets them. This is corruption. It robs people of essential services like healthcare, education, and basic infrastructure. It's like a silent thief, stealing opportunities from those who need them the most, leaving them in a cycle of poverty. Then there's poor governance. It's akin to steering a ship without a compass. Governments that fail to create effective policies and systems or to enforce laws equitably leave their citizens adrift. For instance, when a government doesn't invest in education, it hampers the growth of human capital. Without the skills and knowledge to compete in the job market, people are left in a state of poverty. And let's not overlook conflict. Wars and political unrest have a devastating impact on a country's economy. They disrupt trade, destroy infrastructure, and displace people. It's like a wildfire that consumes everything in its path, leaving behind only ashes. The poor are often the most affected, as they lack the resources to rebuild their lives. But the story doesn't end there. These political factors also have a snowball effect. Corruption fuels poor governance, which in turn can lead to conflict. It's a vicious cycle that keeps people trapped in poverty. And unfortunately, these political challenges aren't confined to any one region or country. They're global issues, from the most developed nations to the least. They're like a shadow that looms over the world, casting a dark cloud on our collective future. But remember, these aren't inevitable. With political will, transparency, and accountability, we can tackle these issues head-on, It's a monumental task, but one that's absolutely necessary if we're to eradicate poverty. These political challenges further entrench poverty, making it even harder for individuals and communities to escape. Scene script. Poverty is a vicious cycle. It's not just the result of these factors, but it also exacerbates them. Let's dive into the cyclical nature of poverty. Picture this. You're born into a low-income family. Your parents, due to their economic circumstances, are unable to provide you with quality education. Consequently, your chances of landing a high-paying job diminish, and you end up stuck in a low-wage job. This predicament limits your ability to access resources and opportunities, thereby confining you to the same socioeconomic status you were born into. This is a classic example of how economic factors can perpetuate poverty. But it doesn't stop there. The cycle continues to spin, further deepening the existing socioeconomic divide. Now let's zoom out a little and look at the social aspect. As you grow up in this low-income environment, you find yourself surrounded by individuals facing similar struggles. This shared experience of hardship can create a sense of hopelessness and apathy, leading to a lack of motivation to break free from the cycle. The poverty mindset, once rooted, can be incredibly difficult to shake off. Moreover, this cycle is often perpetuated by political factors. Those in power might be inclined to maintain the status quo, especially if it benefits them. For instance, policies might be structured in such a way that they favor the rich, leading to an even wider wealth gap. This can result in the poor having limited access to resources and opportunities, thus trapping them in the cycle of poverty. The cycle of poverty is like a whirlpool. Once you're caught in its currents, it's incredibly challenging to swim out. It's a self-perpetuating cycle, a loop that feeds on itself, becoming stronger with each rotation. The economic, social, and political factors that cause poverty are not just consequences, they are also fuel for the cycle. Yet it's important to remember that cycles can be broken. The first step is understanding the mechanisms that keep the cycle spinning. Once we do that, we can start to disrupt those mechanisms and create a ripple effect of change. This vicious cycle of poverty is what we need to break in order to create a more equitable world. Breaking the cycle of poverty is no easy task, but understanding the causes is the first step towards creating effective solutions. The cycle of poverty, as we've discussed, is a complex interplay of economic, social, and political factors. It's like a wheel spinning relentlessly, pulling people into its vortex. To break this cycle, we need to stop the wheel from spinning. But how do we do that? The first step is to address the economic factors. This means creating job opportunities, fostering entrepreneurship, and providing financial literacy education. When people have secure jobs and the knowledge to handle their finances wisely, they can break free from the shackles of poverty. Next, we need to tackle the social factors. This involves improving access to quality education and healthcare, promoting gender equality, and eradicating social discrimination. Education equips individuals with the skills they need to secure better jobs, while access to healthcare ensures they are physically fit to pursue those opportunities. Gender equality and social inclusivity ensure everyone has a fair shot at prosperity. The political factors, though harder to address, cannot be ignored. Good governance, transparency, and accountability are critical for poverty alleviation. They ensure resources are distributed fairly and policies are implemented effectively. But understanding the causes and solutions isn't enough. We need action. We need policymakers to implement these solutions. We need businesses to provide opportunities. We need communities to support those struggling. And we need individuals to seize the opportunities presented to them. The cycle of poverty can be broken. It's been done before. From the slums of Mumbai to the townships of Johannesburg, individuals, communities, and nations have risen from the ashes of poverty. They've broken the cycle not just for themselves, but for generations to come. So let's not underestimate the power of understanding, the power of empathy, the power of action. Because every action, no matter how small, can disrupt the cycle. Every action can be a spark that ignites a blaze of change. Together, we can make a difference. Together, we can break the cycle of poverty. Now that we understand what causes poverty, we have a responsibility to act. Our journey doesn't end here. It's just the beginning. We've ventured into the harsh realities of poverty, unraveled the complex factors that contribute to it, and explored potential solutions. Yet there is so much more to learn, so much more to do. Each one of us holds the power to make a difference. right within our own communities. Let's take the first step today by educating ourselves further about poverty. Let's be the catalysts of change by taking action, however small it may seem. Every effort counts. Every voice matters. Remember, change doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, it takes perseverance, and above all, it takes unity. As we continue this journey, let's walk together hand in hand towards a future free of poverty. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more insightful videos. Together, we can make a difference.